Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention, please. We will commence the next phase of the evening's festivities. My name is David Hornbeck. I have the honor of chairing the Children's Defense Fund Board of Directors, and it is my pleasure to welcome all of you to the 1995 annual benefit celebrating success. And I've had the good fortune to meet the folks that we're going to pay tribute to celebrate with in a few minutes, and you've got a terrific treat in store. As I had the opportunity to talk to folks in the reception earlier, and as I look around the room, I see a lot of new faces tonight, and for those of you who are new, we welcome you to the growing family of CDF, and to those of you who have joined us for a second or a third or a fourth or a seventh or an 11th time together, we thank you for your continued support and encouragement. The activism that you bring, the financial and the moral support that you bring provides CDF with the kind of sustenance as an organization that we need, and it enables us on a daily basis to pursue the mission that you help craft and to which you give passionate commitment. And that mission is to be a strong and effective voice, not for some of America's children, but for all of America's children. Children need our help now more than ever before. As some of you know, I'm in, I guess, my 15th month as superintendent of the Philadelphia School District. We've got 210,000 youngsters, 55% of whom receive AFDC, 80% of whom are eligible for free and reduced price lunch. Our mission is to become the first big American school system in which all kids achieve at high levels in math and science and English and history and geography. And we worry a lot about the potential loss in things like Title I funds. But what I really worry about is a set of funds that I don't administer at all. And that's that underlying set of things that 55% of our kids need in order to get from one day to the next. And the prospect of having those pins knocked out from under our children and families is something far more devastating even than the loss of Title I funds. So more than ever before, children need our help now. Before we begin our meal, I want to thank a few people who've worked hard to make this event happen. First, our dinner underwriter, the Gerber Companies Foundation, and this evening's program sponsor, Barnes & Noble. In addition to them, our deepest thanks to Edgar Bronfman Jr. of the Joseph E. Seagram & Sons Fund, and Ray Chambers, the chairman of the Amelia Foundation, Mr. and Mrs. Howard H. Howarth, Gerald McEntee, and Nickelodeon. And I'd ask you, in thanks, to give all of them a round of applause for helping make tonight possible. There are other special friends that join us tonight, and I'd like to thank our honorary co-chairs. First of all, the Honorable Donna Shalala, who is a former CDF board member and a chair of CDF, and now is Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services. Two other people, Senator John Chafee of Rhode Island, who's been a longtime supporter of children in this country, and Leonard Coleman, the president of the National Baseball League and a CDF board member. One of the things that just comes home over and over again is this work on behalf of children and families just takes so many different partners from so many different venues. And we come together under the banner of Children's Defense Fund, and tonight we have the special honor to celebrate. I'd like now to introduce to you the Reverend Cecil Williams from Glide Memorial Church. in San Francisco, who will be leading the invocation for this evening's gathering. Reverend Williams is one of our Celebrating Success Award winners, so you'll find out more about that success a little later. But at this point, I'd like to ask Reverend Williams to come up and offer the invocation for our meal. Enjoy it and the program to follow. Reverend Williams.
Thank you very much. Let us pray. O God, our Father and our Mother, God who leads us and inspires us and enters into history with us, who lifts us up when we're down and makes us face ourselves when we don't want to. God, we thank you for your prophets, for the men and women who have carried your message. We thank you so much for the intervention of unconditional love that comes through Jesus. We're grateful for the fact that some way, somehow, when we seem most desperate and depressed and down, we come together. We come together because we understand the dualism of existence, life and death, meaninglessness and hope, good and bad or good and evil. We thank you most of all, however, for the Children's Defense Fund and for Marion. My God, she sounds like Sojourner Truth. Thank you for her. That we might hear, not only in America, but throughout the world, the voices of the children. We thank you for Marion's voice because she brings to us the voices of the children throughout the world. And so, as we gather tonight for this food and for the celebration of whatever the successes and those who have worked hard, plus all of the folks who are here, we ask that you would be with us, that we might continue to have this food nourish our bodies, so we too might be voices and prophets in this day and time. What more can we say except amen, hallelujah, right on, shalom, salam.
Who also has given so much to kids across this country, Robert Reich. And a second person, and I don't think we can celebrate mothers too much, I must say, and that's Edna Shalala, who is Donna Shalala's mother, who has joined us tonight, and I want to say hello to her. Thank you very much. Bon appetit.
Good evening. I'm Marion Edelman, President of the Children's Defense Fund, and I'm so happy to see you here tonight. Before I get to the business of introducing our wonderful mistress of ceremonies, I wanted to have the CDF board members who are present please stand up and get a round of applause, and the wonderful CDF staff that make so many of these things possible. We are celebrating 7 extraordinary leaders and successful programs at a time when some of us who live in Washington are depressed about the way our nation is considering going. And we really are meeting here tonight at a nation-defining time when our Congress and President will have to decide whether to end the role of our national government as protector of last resort for children, the poor, the disabled, and the elderly on day-to-day subsistence needs, as well as during recessions and natural disasters. We're going to have to decide in the next weeks and months, and hopefully longer, whether we're going to widen the income gap between the haves and the have-nots by slashing over $250 billion from crucial child investment programs in health and nutrition, and Head Start even is not sacrosanct from the Budget Acts, in order to fund a tax cut for the non-needy, and whether we're going to increase child poverty under the guise of welfare and Medicaid reform and make more of our children at risk of sickness. Our answer at the Children's Defense Fund is that we are not going to let that happen in America. That's not who we are. That we should be not destroying the safety net, we should be strengthening it at a time when we have more poor children than we've had in 30 years, when 9 million of our children have no health care. And so I hope we will come out of this struggle not only saying what we're against, but saying what the nation is going to have to do to ensure our children a healthy start and a fair start and a safe start in life, the kinds of starts that the wonderful honorees tonight are providing in communities. And I'll just tell you that despite the apparent reasons to be depressed in Washington, there are more wonderful people doing wonderful things for children all over this nation, and these people who are here tonight represent them. But there is a movement that is aborting, and we thank you for being a part of it. We're not going to leave any child behind as we enter a new millennium. And with that, I hope you will look in your bags when you go home and pick out a green sheet, because we need you to help us build this movement, and take the time to give some calls to your political leaders and say, don't do anything that's going to make more children sick and poor, and pass it along to all of your friends, because it will make a difference. And now I have the privilege and the honor of introducing our Mistress of Ceremonies. We are always blessed to welcome our friend, the poet, the writer, the historian, the dancer, the best-selling author, the actress, the playwright, the civil rights activist, the producer and director, and my dear friend and sister, Dr. Maya Angelou.
I sing because I'm happy, and I sing because I'm free. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. It is amazing. It is so wonderful to be in a company of people whose eyes are on the sparrow, on the small, the seemingly insignificant, the lonely, the uncared for. It is wonderful to be in this company and to know that we exist. We have survived in direct relation to those whose eyes have been upon us, and to be in the company of powerful people whose eyes are on the sparrows, on the little ones, on those who too often fall from the trees onto the floor, onto the ground, onto cruel and crucial arenas with no one looking up. You are there. your eyes are on this sparrow. It is a great blessing for me to be asked to be the host and be the MC for the Children's Defense Fund first Celebrating Success benefit. But you know, if you remember at all, you remember the first time I was asked to come, and I enjoyed myself so much. I told Marian Wright Edelman that if I wasn't invited again, I would be the tall black lady outside protesting. I will be here each time, and if I'm not here, know that something went awry. And when you go outside, wave at me, because at past CDF benefits, we've gathered together to honor high school students from the District of Columbia who have beaten the odds, despite facing tremendous obstacles. Beat the odds events. They are now being held in 12 cities around the nation, and over 60 students have received scholarships because of it. They have received summer jobs, computers, other school supplies that will help them to continue to survive and achieve. To ensure that every American child has the opportunity to beat the odds, tonight we will honor 7 programs and leaders from around the country working to carry out the CDF's mission to see that, as Marian Wright Edelman says, no child is left behind. All these people in their unique ways provide children and parents with the essential supports that they must have to have healthy starts, to have head starts, to have fair starts, to have safe starts, and above all, to have moral starts. I am so delighted to have been sitting here with one of our hosts, with the superintendent in Philadelphia, to have the chance to talk about moral starts. Too often we despair about what will not work, what has not worked, what doesn't help, and what doesn't save our children. Too seldom do we celebrate what does work, the many successful community efforts which do work, the leaders who work to make a difference, those who really care about the children, care so much that they identify with the children, those who are building hopes, those who are building dreams, and those who are building lives for our children, those that are who are creating futures for all of us, those who in fact really look upon the sparrows. It is amazing to think of our power, and I really appreciate so much what you were saying earlier, Miss Marian Wright Edelman, Dr. Sister Ms. It's of such importance. And to sitting next to Secretary Donna Shalala and have the pleasure of speaking with her mom and seeing my mother in your mother. It's such a blessing to know how often we have survived in direct relation to the men and women who have seen and cared about the sparrows. Those who many people walk by, ignore, care nothing for, right off, in fact. Right off. And of course, I'm one of those. I am definitely one of those sparrows who could have been written off. I have all the data, all the particularities which would allow a larger society and those who did not have enough courage, Secretary Rausch didn't have enough courage to see in me a sparrow who might fly someday, and might not only fly, but encourage others to fly. So when I I see you and sit beside you, I am encouraged. And I know that people say, don't preach to the choir. But I think the choir sometimes needs to be reminded how powerful it is. Too often we despair, but tonight, with the hard work and the support of leaders from the programs around America, like the 7 we are honoring tonight, we can build and must build, and in fact are building, national movements so that we can leave no child behind. We must please sit back and relax. We have 7 wonderful voices, wonderful faces, wonderful videos to share with you. Let me now introduce to you our first award winner, Peggy Cooper Kafritz, lawyer, art activist, and almost you can't refuse her. I mean, she's a young Dorothy Height, which is really saying something, which means that once she phones you, you start to ask, how high, dear? When, darling? And where, dear? She has dedicated her life to the arts and its special role in educating young people. Last year, she was recognized by President Clinton, who appointed her vice chair of the President's Committee on the Arts and Humanities. You see that she's starting right in Dorothy Height's footsteps. In 1968, she and fellow Washingtonian arts activist Mike Malone created the Workshops for Careers in the Arts, which was renamed the Duke Ellington School in 1974. Ms. Kafritz has been described as the living heart, the soul, the creator, the support arm, and intrepid fundraiser for the school. Intrepid is the proper word. The Duke Ellington School of the Arts enables young people to tap into their inner strength to develop as students, artists, and citizens who live by the Duke Ellington School creed, which is commitment, responsibility, empowerment, excellence, and dignity. Peggy Cooper Kafritz is a person who embodies all these qualities. She works tirelessly and causes other people to do the same, to raise funds for schools where students are rewarded by her efforts through their achievements. The graduation rate is 100%. And typically, 92% of the senior class are accepted by colleges. Before we roll the video, which was produced by ABC News for World News Tonight, I want you to know that the music you heard during our reception was music provided by the Duke Ellington Jazz Orchestra. Please.
It seeps from under the classroom doors, echoes in the scuffed hallways, the sounds of learning on a different scale.
You hear kids tap dancing in the halls, choir people singing and horns playing. It's just like this real artistic environment. It's not like any other public school.
Duke Ellington School of the Arts is one of the only public arts high schools in the country with a mostly poor, mostly minority student population, a school of privilege for children of none. Ephraim Stevens comes here from a rough neighborhood, came here with a rough talent on the piano.
I had to pick out notes until I came here, and lady told me in the day, the simple way to read music. And I'm like, God, where have you people been?
Ephraim already played music. Ellington teachers encouraged him to interpret it. The elegance of a prelude. The blur and chase of jazz.
I spend most of my time just practicing and playing. That's what I love to do.
What caused the Civil War?
But at Ellington, the arts are kept in counterpoint with academics.
You will find that the finest artists in each of the disciplines are also the most intelligent artists.
Peggy Cooper Kafritz, a Washington attorney and arts advocate, is a founder and promoter of the school. She has a perfect pitch. Use the draw of the arts to get students to come to school and learn what they may not know they need to know.
Give a warm welcome to Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle came to Ellington interested in comedy. Ellington taught him Shakespeare.
You know, that Shakespeare stuff comes in handy. Pronunciation.
You can stay in the house and work on your social skills and stuff.
The use of language is very important in stand-up.
Ellington graduate Denise Graves has sung with Placido Domingo, has engagements in 4 European countries this summer. She says Ellington gave her her grounding.
We had to take music theory, we had to take music history, some opera staging classes, and we had to learn all of the languages, Italian, French, and German.
Très bien, mademoiselle.
Not every Ellington student gets to the professional stage.
It's statistically impossible and foolish to think they're all going to become stars. So what you have to do is produce full citizens, no matter what.
The school instills a strong work ethic, starting classes at 8:30 a.m., running rehearsals past 5. Ellington students learn quickly to set priorities, organize their time.
One time you might have a performance and another teacher might say you have a test. So you have to pick which one is more important.
Students are eager to perform on the school stage, learn the ropes backstage, and practice. Attendance here is the highest in the district. And at this urban high school, 99% of the students graduate, and 92% are accepted into college. Ellington claims success in every area except funding. Despite Ellington's special mission, the Washington, D.C. School District gives it the standard $9 a year per student for supplies. It took the dance department 3 years of cookie sales to buy Swan Lake costumes.
We get only minuscule amounts from other government programs. And I spend a good 60 hours a week begging.
Arts education will demand stronger support if, as the government plans, the next generation of graduates is to know how to express themselves in motion, color, and sound. To know the value of their own voices alone and joined. Beth Nissen, ABC News, Washington.
It is my pleasure to introduce Peggy Cooper Kafritz, the founder of the Duke Ellington School of the Arts. Would you please help me?
That was wonderful.
Thank you very much. Could you show it, please? Thank you. The two of you. Yes. Well, this is part of it. But they didn't.
I'll be really quick. Something that made everything worth it all happened to me today. I was mistaken for Marion Wright Edelman. Which is a tremendous honor. I want to say that this is really for the school. This is really for kids throughout the District of Columbia who've had no way to break that cycle. And by giving their souls to the arts behind all kinds of educational 8-balls, they have been able to become the first in their families to go to college, the first in their families to have secure futures, the first in their families whom we know will give their own children a fair start, a safe start, a healthy start, and a head start. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. For 25 years, KCMC Child Development Corporation has demonstrated its worth many times over to the children and the families in the Kansas City area. As the executive director of the KCMC Child Development Corporation, Dwayne Crompton has designed and implemented high-quality, affordable child care for families with parents who work outside the home. In addition to nurturing more than 1,500 preschoolers each day, KCMC, short for Caring with a K, for children is our main concern. It strives to educate, to motivate, and so important, to raise the self-esteem of the families they serve. And I love the idea that they serve the families. Quite often, what is made clear in organizations and committees and groups which don't work is they make the mistake of thinking that the families serve them. I must commend KCMC for understanding that its role is to serve. It was started in 1970 under the Model Cities program. It's one of only 4 programs to survive and to go further to thrive throughout the years. Under Dwayne Crompton's leadership, the agency has become a model of integrity, of encouragement, inspiration, and a service for a Head Start Center to a Full Start program, giving children a range of medical, dental care, and good nutrition. While the students, while the children are downstairs learning at KCMC, some of their parents are upstairs learning, gaining important employment skills, job skills, working with KCMC executives on projects such as helping to hire Head Start teachers, understanding the principle of Head Start, which alas, a number of us do not really understand. We think we're giving to the children, when in fact what we're doing is making investments for ourselves. In addition to his work at the KCMC, Mr. Crompton and his pastor, L. Henderson Bell, convinced parishioners at their 350-member Mount Pleasant Missionary Baptist Church to reallocate $30,000 of their annual budget for a summer freedom school program for children in their community. When I read that first, I came, as the Cockneys say in England, I came all over queer. Just the very idea that 350 people in a church, and just saying that and knowing what kind of church it is, that this church and this group of parishioners could allocate $30,000. That's a lot of money. For some, it's nothing. For others, it's an impossible amount of money. That they could do that and would do that for children in their community. Mr. Crompton also coordinates the Children's Defense Fund's national observance of Children's Sabbath in Kansas City. In seeking ways to improve the child care for children and assist their families, Dwayne Crompton and KCMC set a high standard for all of us to admire and to strive to reach. Please, let's roll the tape, provided by MT Publications and Production.
Grounded in the belief that every child deserves a fair opportunity to reach his or her fullest potential in life, KCMC Child Development Corporation has worked tirelessly for more than 25 years to create environments in which children and families can thrive. 4 principles drive our commitment to children and families. We call them the cornerstones of our success. Quality service to children, meeting the needs of parents, community partnerships, and creative leadership are the four cornerstones of success to lift children and families out of poverty and place them on the road to self-sufficiency. Daily, thousands of children and families pass beneath the KCMC rainbow to receive an array of comprehensive services, ranging from a nutritious meal to a full menu of medical services. KCMC has a long and fruitful history with Head Start. Our model program serves over 1,800 3- and 4-year-olds in full and half-day programs throughout Jackson, Clay, and Platte counties in metropolitan Kansas City.
Rồi try the estrogen.
Chị này chỉ coi cái này ở đâu.
KCMC's Model Child Care Center, Lollipop Land Child Development Center, offers high-quality, affordable care, 12 hours daily for preschoolers beginning at age 2. Before and after-school programs are offered to school-age children, and an innovative summer enrichment program is provided for children up to age 14. At KCMC, we know that the family is the most important influence in a child's life. Working with parents to understand their needs and helping them devise strategies to meet those needs are part of KCMC's holistic approach to healing and strengthening families.
Okay, but what we're going to do with the food is we're going to give her directions, body movement. So this is like with space. Now put your other foot on the pumpkin. What color is that pumpkin?
No.
Orange. Now put your head on that red apple.
Put your head on the apple.
Good job.
Putting children first often means helping parents to grow personally, to get drug treatment, to finish high school, get job training, and find and keep a job. At Goppert Child Development Center, where the kids are downstairs getting a head start, you will find their parents upstairs getting a new start.
If we were going to try to guesstimate if we had enough for our bills, we would probably go with this number. Instead of the lead number, we'd go to the tens. It would give us a more accurate estimate. So
Building partnerships and forming linkages with businesses and other community agencies have been key factors in KCMC's success formula. A prime example is KCMC's innovative Full Start pilot program. Launched with the support of the community, Full Start leverages Head Start dollars and partners with local child care facilities to provide a full range of comprehensive services, not only to Head Start eligible children, but to all kids enrolled in neighborhood child care centers. The recent groundbreaking ceremony for the new Thomas Roque Family and Child Center further illustrates the successful partnerships KCMC has cultivated with the private sector in Kansas City.
In 9 months, this young lady raised over $2.4 million for the site.
The spirit of people working together to identify needs and then roll up their sleeves, organize a leadership group, raise the money, and get the job done. And that's what's happened in an amazingly short period of time here at the KCMC Child Development Corporation.
Dwayne and I have been together for a number of years and working in this whole area of child development, which is critically important, I think, to Kansas City and to the nation.
KCMC also reaches out to work with partners on the national level. Dwayne Crompton, KCMC's executive director, played an active role during the summer of 1995 in leading his church, Mount Pleasant Missionary Baptist Church, to sponsor a freedom school with the support of the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation. The program is a cultural enrichment and academic program for African American children. Freedom schools are a service arm of the Black Community Crusade for Children and are coordinated nationally by the Children's Defense Fund. The Kansas City Freedom School served 95 children from the age of 5 to 15. The vision and hope in Kansas City.
Please warmly welcome KCMC Child Development Corporation's Executive Director and Kansas City Freedom School co-founder, Dwayne Crompton. Thank you so much. Thank you. We celebrate your success. Thank you. Oh, yes. I'm good at this. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Crompton. We celebrate your success, and in doing so, we know that we celebrate our own. We make no mistake about it. Quite often, some of the problems have been in thinking that in celebrating the success of another, it's only of another. The truth is, if you succeed, we all do. And if you fail, we all do. And John Donne was absolutely on the money in the 16th century when he said, "The death of every human being diminishes me." And of course, the success of every human being, whether she or he succeeds in Kansas City or in Winston-Salem, in my hometown, or in Washington, D.C., we are all made stronger and better, and thank you. 15 years ago, the Williamsburg section of Brooklyn was a fierce battleground, commonly referred to as the teenage gang capital of New York. By 1981, a teenager was dying each week, at least one, on the streets of Williamsburg. Some were killed by bullets, some by beatings, and others succumbed to drug overdoses. For Luis Garden Acosta, the Sea of Death was hauntingly familiar. He had grown up in the housing projects of New York, but fought his way out, determined to succeed despite the poverty and violence which surrounded him. He studied medicine at Harvard and came back to the neighborhood that bore him so that he could make a difference. Senor Acosta realized that, quote, his statement is, "Our answer was not to get better suturing, but to turn around and get at the root of the problem." For 3 decades, he has worked relentlessly to weave development, democratic action, healing, and human rights into the everyday affairs and discourse of life and to the everyday work in his community. Senor Acosta has organized a group of parents, of youths, of doctors, of clergy to design a community haven for the children, encouraging mental, physical, psychological, and spiritual development based on the principles of helping oneself always and helping one's community. This coalition named itself El Puente, Spanish for the bridge. And that is exactly what the Señor has been, a bridge. When the founders of El Puente realized that the poor academic performance of children contrasted with the achievements of those same youths if they attended after-school centers, El Puente organizers decided to form their own school, the El Puente Academy for Peace, the El Puente Academy for Justice. It was launched in Williamsburg in September 1993. The Academy is a community and youth development program and a New Visions New York City Board of Education Public High School program. The Academy's director, Francis Lucerna, believes the school's focus on social education will create a generation of young people who will return to the neighborhood after college, having been inspired and spurred on by Senor Acosta, that they will commute to good jobs, and ultimately that the young men and women will act to rebuild the community. Ms. Lucerna has been a pioneer of community arts and education for the past 15 years. When school founders decided it was vital for the program and for the project to be run by someone intimate with the organization, intimate and knowledgeable about the community, Ms. Lucerna was the most qualified person and the candidate for the job. Now, she believes that, quote, public education is something we have to safeguard and protect. It has to be about quality. It can't be the thing you settle for because you don't have the means to afford the thing you want, something better, unquote. Explaining her mission at the El Puente Academy, she has said, we are fighting for leadership. We are redesigning our community. And interestingly, this is the American way. May we please see a video.
We all remember high school, a blackboard up front, rows of seats, and a buzzer that rang at the beginning and end of every period. But there are other creative ways to design a school. We learned that when we visited the El Puente Academy of Peace and Justice, part of the Board of Ed's alternative high school program, located in the middle of ethnically diverse Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
Here at the El Puente Academy, the whole thrust of the curriculum is community development. And a very big part of the learning process is community service.
The health fair was important because some families don't got enough money to buy shots. You know, some shots cost you $50 to $100. You know, they had a chance to come here and get free shots for the child. They don't want the child getting sick.
No, she's not allergic to it. The same thing to every child, right? The same thing? Yeah.
I think it's great, since the fact that since she's always sick, this is an opportunity for her. She's well now, and it's free. It's just come in and they attend, no appointment or anything, so it's good.
I believe that the philosophy of the school is about developing leadership for social change, and that young people right now can create those changes, not only within themselves, but within their community. The individual transformation is the first key to social transformation.
I feel it's important because you should get involved with the community. I mean, you live in it, right?
The students of El Puente are taking care of the environment right here in their own neighborhood. They're all aware of the great rainforest, but they're only 4,000 miles away. Here in the city of New York, we have our own rainforest where the trees are becoming a disaster.
I think we have a great opportunity, particularly in this neighborhood of Williamsburg, in this community of Williamsburg, to really be able to proactively practice and experience and explore the issues of peace and social justice.
One of the things that we believe in is that everyone here in the school is both teacher and student.
So you know how viruses live in your body?
Yeah.
You know, like for example, like the HIV virus?
The T cells.
They
survive inside the T cells and kill them all.
Since we're learning from each other, we felt that it would be more appropriate to call ourselves facilitators.
Name one reason why parents do not get their children vaccinated.
Because they don't have enough money. They like to be called facilitators because they see us like friends, like real friends here. And I want to be just like them. 4 years from now, I want to work here. I mean, I love this place.
The Day of the Day, or El Día de los Muertos, is a way of bridging the past with the present, a way of bridging all traditions of our ancestors with the way we're living right now. It's also as a way of commemorating the memories of those who have passed away. Making that transformation from the old school systems to now has been very challenging, to say the least. I've seen young people here that in other schools are considered losers or problem kids, or whatever the popular term that goes around.
So why are you going to celebrate something that's already dead? Their spirits are alive.
that this, the body, is only something physical, but their spirits never really die. I've seen some amazing transformations because we really focus on the individual and talking to them as human beings. And here, they really have a home, they have a place. They see themselves as having potential and moving on in directions they never thought possible.
Luis Galden Acosta is the founder and the visionary behind El Puente.
Remember, we're going to communities where they don't speak English, where all they know about us is what the television tells them.
He is the master bridge maker. He brought people together like myself from the community and said, we can come together, we have what it takes, we have all the resources we need to make the change for young people. He had the vision of a place that was safe, a place where you could grow in body, mind, spirit, and affect the community. And he's made that vision happen.
If they learn anything, when they graduate, and they will all graduate in 4 years, they will know that they are a power, that they can come together with others, people whose languages maybe they don't understand, whose cultures they perhaps don't totally understand, but they can come together as human beings and make the changes for all of us that they will understand.
4 years from now, I think everyone is going to hear about El Puente. That's what I'm hoping for. And there'll be new people coming in, it'll be all over the news everywhere. And they would have more El Puentes nationwide.
I would like now to invite Senora Frances Lucerna, the director of El Puente Academy, and Senor Luis Garden Acosta, president of El Puente, to join me on the stage to accept this award. Podemos. A usted. I love the idea of those who look after the sparrows. It's so poignant and at the same time so powerful. So it might seem tender, and I hope so, but at the same time so tough. One has to be extremely tough, extremely tender. If you're too tender, you become mushy, and the world can walk all over you. And if you're too tough, you stand the risk of being brutish. But I'm grateful to be in the presence of people who have the courage to be tender and tough, so that you can look after the sparrows. Dr. Robert Wesley and the Physicians for Social Responsibility in Irvine, California, had developed one very important violence reduction strategy by standing up to the gun industry. That's no small matter. Most people who stand up to gun industries ask to have blindfolders on, because it's a serious matter when you stand up to that. Dr. Wesley and 25 medical students from the University of California at Irvine launched the first picketing campaign against a domestic firearms producer, Brico Arms of Irvine. That is one of the nation's largest manufacturers of Saturday night specials. It's interesting that here it's spelled Saturday night specials. It's really Saturday, S-A-D-D-Y, Saturday night specials. And these are handguns which are used disproportionately in the commission of crimes, most often against people who themselves cannot really stand any more crimes against them. Although Brico Arms turned on their sprinkler system to try to chase the medical students away, the demonstrators stood their ground. Many of them held teddy bears to symbolize the fact that the stuffed animals have to pass through more regulations and more tests than the Saturday night specials. This effort has led to a coordinated effort by many Southern California groups to oppose the Saturday night special manufacturers. Almost single-handedly, Dr. Wesley and his 25 students, that is, single 26-handedly, have shut down the Irvine faculty and the facility, the factory of the Brico Arms. As he explained to the press after the rally, Dr. Wesley said, quote, "No one can be busier than medical students, yet they have made their time free for the important part that they must play in the world of peacemaking. If they can do it, then anyone can do it," unquote. Under the leadership of Dr. Wesley, the Irvine Physicians for Social Responsibility, I love that. I love the idea, the Irvine Physicians for Social Responsibility. I mean, I just think that it should be so wonderful if we said the professors of English for social responsibility and the other folks who work in other areas which are not quite so pronouncedly pompous could call themselves the citizens for social responsibility. They have demonstrated the ability and their capacity so that each of us, as concerned citizens, could take responsibility for changing the world in which we live. I think that that's what we're all about. I know that's why we're all here. I know that I'm preaching to the choir, but roll the video.
We're taking an anti-gun violence campaign and transforming it into an anti-gun violence movement.
What we're finding out about gun violence is that it shares many of the properties of an epidemic.
Our student chapter at UC Irvine is a part of a national movement of students, of medical students within PSR. Many of these students groups have taken on violence and violence prevention as their major effort.
The group formed, I guess, largely with a sort of general idea about, social responsibility, but without really specificity per se. And it was in our early meetings at the beginning of this past year of school that we came to know of this gun manufacturer, Brico Arms, being here in our fair city of Irvine.
The idea of specifically targeting Brico came after we came to know about it to begin with, because they work in very secretive ways. The buildings are unmarked. I mean, literally the way we found out about this was through an organization published in Washington, because they had to register with ATF.
Brico Arms of Irvine is no more than 3 miles from a medical student campus. And when our students found out that this entity was producing, they felt that they had to go there and have a personal witness.
We started by just going out there and demonstrating in front of the building and just bringing to the attention of the people of Irvine, being a safe city as it is, that, deadly weapons that have no, redeemable purpose for society, weapons that are used mostly for crime, they're being made right here.
We did it pretty methodically in the way we arranged it. I mean, we found out the site, we distributed the workload, and then we just spent maybe a day or two each night making signs. And so making signs was a fun process in itself.
And then after making the signs, we recruited some more medical students to come along and join us in it. And it's just like what I was saying, it's kind of like a rolling ball effect. I mean, once you get a small group of motivated students doing something, a lot of other people get interested in too. Maybe not initially for the right reasons, but once they're there and they see what the issues are, I mean, who cannot but help, join in?
We found that the press was very interested in this public demonstration, as far as we can determine, the first of its kind. And that grew into a campaign against BRICO arms, a campaign in which our students educated themselves about the issues of gun violence and focused on them with demonstrations, follow-up demonstrations on our undergraduate campus, where we performed, I guess what's now famous as a die-in.
You got to take the problem one at a time. And being us here in Irvine, where this big manufacturer is profiting out of from the blood of our children, it gives us like a real, tangible goal that we can grab into and say, okay, well, we're going to drive them out of here. We're going to put them out of business, and it's really helpful.
The plant in Irvine was shut down. They moved all of their productions. There has been a legislative effort in California to shut down all Saturday night special production. So it is very conceivable that in the near future they will be leaving California altogether.
I think, as far as the gun issue goes, that our role as medical students or as physicians is to let people know that the issue of gun violence in the United States is a public health issue, because ultimately it's taking its toll on people's health and well-being, not just the people who are wounded by bullets, but by the people who live in the communities and in the streets and the neighborhoods where the bullets are flying and the guns are being used.
We can't just cure people when they come into the emergency room, with a lethal gunshot wound, and not think about, well, how did this happen? Why did this young 17-year-old black male come here? Why do so many? Why is the life expectancy of this child or this adolescent so much lower than others? And then we need to ask those questions, and we need to find solutions.
In terms of where our student group and the student groups aligned to it are growing, we hope to create a youth movement against gun violence and for nonviolence, which we hope will have profound political, cultural, and spiritual ramifications for this country.
Dr. Robert West Wesley, an associate professor of medicine at the University of California's Irvine campus and the chairman of Irvine's Physicians for Social Responsibility Violence Prevention Task Force, is here tonight to accept this award. Please let us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my dear. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. See, continuing to see those who look after the sparrows. So often we talk about just how one person can make a difference in the life of a child. Our next honoree, Mr. Imagination, has used his artistic gifts to make a difference for a whole community of children in need. After an almost fatal mugging in 1978, Gregory Warmack changed his name to Mr. Imagination and began his vocation as a self-taught street artist who believes in art as a way to enrich and change the lives of children. He has been called a great redeemer, an artist who rescues and reclaims what has been debased and overlooked and tossed away. Although he has had no formal art training, Mr. Imagination's works are now displayed nationally. In creating his art, he has transformed disregarded remains. He has taken that, as black spirituals say, he has taken nothing and made everything. He has taken the remains of trash and the debris from industrial sites and made them into sandstone carvings. These carvings range in form from prehistoric animal heads to exotic portraits from antiquity. More recently, Mr. Imagination has begun to carve sculptures from brooms, paintbrushes, and bottle caps. You will see some of that art soon. His need to give back to the children in the community grew partially out of his own upbringing in Chicago and the tough side of Chicago. To keep children out of trouble, he has obtained a plot of land in the shadow of one of the poorest housing developments on the south side of Chicago, and he has begun encouraging children to express themselves through street painting. He has given children in his south side of Chicago neighborhood area and space to dream, spirit to create, and wings with which they can fly. The video you will see now of Mr. Imagination and his mentees, then their wonderful artistry, was filmed, directed, and produced by young people in Chicago's Elliott Donnelly Youth Center with underwriting from the Joyce Foundation. I know we're going to enjoy this tape. Thank you.
This is the Elliott Donnelly Youth Center. It's a place where young people like us come to swim and play ball, play all kinds of games, and have fun. Ms. Coverson is our director and the nicest person you could ever know. What makes our center so special is that we have the best new park in all of Chicago. It's more than just a playground because it's got art to make it look beautiful. One of the people who made it all possible is an artist by the name of Mr. Imagination. He built us a grotto made out of cement, earrings, bottle tops, and fossils. It's a nice place where we can talk or just sit and use our imagination.
You know, what is so really special, once upon a time here was just his empty lot. But now you hear laughter of kids and everybody just having a wonderful time. And what made it happen was everyone working together as a team. I had a vision that this lot could be turned into something wonderful. And not only with the artists involved, but with the community involved as well.
What you like about this program?
Oh, that it's a community effort, and that all these different family people are involved in it, and that they brought Mr. Imagination out here to work on this project here. This is a very spiritually charged piece. Mr. Imagination is full of astonishment and power.
I'm the artist that made that piece, but just think how many hands were involved that made it happen.
Mr. Imagination, you made our neighborhood look marvelous, and everyone loves you for sharing your beautiful creation.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Imagination. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, it's a wonderful vest. Thank you. Thank you very much. I have so much to say, I know, but the real reason I'm invited every year is that I'm brief, and brevity is the soul of wit. I know that, okay. Dorothy Stoneman is a lifelong activist with roots in the civil rights movement. After graduating from Harvard in 1963, she lived and worked in Harlem for 24 years. This is amazing. Many people don't live in Harlem for 24 years, but she lived and worked there, developing community-controlled schools, youth projects, housing programs, and coalitions to raise public support for community-based programs. That is a wonderful thing. It is amazing that for many people in our country, Harlem is a pigment of the imagination. At the heart of, that was witty, do say. At the heart of Dorothy's work is her driving, abiding faith in the capacity of young people to build their own lives, their own bright futures, if only given a chance. In 1978, Dorothy gave the young people of East Harlem that chance through the Youth Action Program, an employment project which placed teenage dropouts in GED classes, working community improvement projects, and advocating for their own tomorrows and their own next years. Young people filled City Hall with their testimonies, and they won $60 million of city funds for youth employment programs over the years. Thank you. In 1988, Dorothy launched the Youth Child, Youth Build, Youth Children, Youth Person Coalition, determined to put young employment on the national agenda. Because of her vision, because of her tireless advocacy, in 1992, Congress invested $40 million to replicate in communities across the nation youth improvement programs modeled after her earlier original East Harlem model. Currently, Youth Build has a budget of $20 million. Her genuine love for young people with whom she works makes her a testament for that statement that we live in direct relation to the heroes and sheroes we have. She is, in fact, a person who has made it possible to think that when you believe in young people, then you can believe that they can make a difference. And in fact, they do go on to make a difference. The video you're about to see was produced by ABC News for the American Agenda. This is our story. Please roll the tape.
East Harlem is a community of the abandoned, buildings left to decay, the homeless left to scavenge, youth who have left school and stand idle. But on this block, a small program called Youth Build is working to change all that. Here and on similar blocks in a dozen other cities, Youth Build is transforming neglected buildings into attractive low-cost housing, and in the process, transforming lives. Those doing the construction are young dropouts, like Hector Merced. He left school at 17. He is now 24.
It hit me one day that I'm on a road to nowhere, because I would fill out a job application and there would be nothing on it as far as skills and education.
Youth Build is helping him get both skills and education in 9 months. Trainees divide their time between study and construction work on a tenement building.
Start right here.
Experienced supervisors teach trainees basic woodworking, insulation, masonry.
What was your skill level when you started out?
Flat. Flat, didn't know nothing.
And now?
Now, seeing is believing.
Every other week, they put down their hard hats and go to a special Youth Build school to prepare for their high school equivalency diploma, their GED.
The span of the building is 20 feet.
The emphasis is on applying what is learned.
This number is called the hypotenuse.
At this Youth Build site in Boston, trainees use the Pythagorean theorem to measure and construct a rafter.
There's an incredible need for young people to work on something of value to the community, and that need was so obvious and pressing that we made it happen.
Dorothy Stoneman is a longtime community activist. She started Youth Build in East Harlem in 1978. It now trains about 300 young people a year in 12 sites around the country. Most are funded locally by city governments and private donations. Trainees pay nothing. In fact, Youth Build pays them minimum wage for their construction work. The cost, between $12,000 and $20,000 per trainee.
If you invest $12,000 to $20,000 in a person, they're going to make a productive contribution. They're going to pay taxes. They're going to support their families. They're going to support their children.
Youth Build graduate Kevin Barr now makes $9 an hour, enough to support his family of 4. The program helped him get the work experience and GED required for his full-time job with a major contractor.
I don't think I would be here if it wasn't for Youth Build.
Where would you be?
Probably still out looking for a job, the way things are today.
With jobs and prospects so scarce, Youth Build is overwhelmed with applications.
Fill this out.
The New York program has room for 50 new trainees. Already, more than 500 young dropouts have applied.
There's a lot of us who's trying to make something out of ourselves. You guys just got to give us a chance, and we can prove to you that we are worth your attention.
The Youth Build program has won the attention of Congress. There is bipartisan support for a bill that would give the program $120 million in federal money over the next 2 years. That would fund more trainees in more cities. But Youth Build's founder says the program will still be a tiny point of light where a beacon is what's needed.
I would employ all the unemployed people to rebuild all the abandoned housing, to house all the homeless people. And that should be national policy. It isn't.
Yet Hector Merced says even a small victory is important if it's yours. Just look, he says, at what is happening at his construction site.
It's nothing right now. It's all messed up and everything. And soon it'll be something beautiful. I figure that's like me. Pretty soon I'll be like that building, brand new and usable.
Now that's perfect.
Beth Nissen, ABC News, East Harlem, New York.
Please join me in welcoming Dorothy Stoneman, the founder and president of Youth Build. Thank you. Thank you. I have the pleasure of introducing to you one of my dear friends, Reverend Cecil Williams, the Minister of Liberation at Glide Memorial United Methodist Church, and his wife, Janice Mirikitani, one of America's great poets. The truth is, I know that the young woman came up to cut out all that stuff, and I agree. I must tell you, however, that I'm trying to be a Christian. And trying to be a Christian is like trying to be a Jew or a Buddhist or a Shintoist or Zoroastrian or Muslim. It's not something you achieve and immediately you sit back and say, I got it. I'm always amazed when people walk up and say, I'm a Christian. I always think, already? You already? That's amazing. But I'm working at it. And I'm a member of Metropolitan Baptist Church here in Washington, D.C., and a member of Mount Zion Baptist Church in North Carolina, in Winston-Salem, and I'm a member of Glide, that Methodist Church. I'm present. I'm looked after on both coasts. And so Reverend Cecil Williams is my preacher. He is my pastor and my spiritual leader, one of three. And his wife, Janice Mirikitani, is one of the great poets of the world and our poet. It is my delight to remind you or to tell you that at Glide Memorial, every day, over 6,000 people are served food every day. And sometimes 25,000 people are served meals at Glide Memorial. I know that there's a lot more to be said, which has been edited out. I am grateful that they have, between themselves and those who love them and those who are guided by them, they have created a safe place for people, black and white, Spanish-speaking, Asian, Native American, Jewish, Zoroastrian, for people to find spirituality in their own ways. I am proud to ask you to let us look at this video.
How long you been in, Jack?
I've been here for 3 months. I've been clean for 3 months.
Clean for 3 months.
Yay!
How about that? Yeah. How about that? What brought you here?
Okay.
Crack brought you here. Yeah. How did you feel about coming?
At first, I didn't like it.
It is.
Then when I started learning more about myself, I decided it was good for me. I learned a lot. I'm still learning.
Yeah, sure. I guess that's what we do the rest of our lives, learn, right?
That's right.
I was telling them a few minutes ago about one of the things that's helped me with myself, with Jen, and with the staff is I'm always changing. See, if I can keep changing, then we got something going.
Then we can keep changing.
You are. Never be behind the times, huh? That's right. Don't get behind the times, because listen, the past will catch up with you, and past you. Did you hear? Hey, I just thought that's great stuff I just said. The past will catch up with you and pass you. That's what I'm going to preach on Sunday. I just got my Sunday sermon. How about that? And that I, the Lord, am your God, and there is none else. And my people shall never again be put to shame. My people will never again be put to shame.
It started out with me coming here to eat because I was hungry, and from there, somebody else said, well, let's go to church Sunday. We'll go back down here, we'll eat lunch, go to church, and then we'll go eat lunch. And I believe that's how a lot of people find out the services that we have is by eating here. They know that these services are here for whenever they're ready, because our doors are open to anybody. Anybody can come in here. Doesn't matter who you are, what you are, where you came from. We don't care. It's what you want to do now. That's what it's about.
When they told me I was HIV and I came into recovery, I saw a chance to turn everything around to positive from negative. And that's what I dedicate my life into doing now, is saving people that are HIV and AIDS, saving people that are using drugs. And mainly I focus on the women out here to get them in-house programs and stuff for Glide. Glide has really turned my life around a lot. Reverend Cecil has helped me get my kids back. Jen has helped me learn how to have self-esteem and talk about my rape issues with my stepfathers. I have an oldest son that was by my stepfather. And right here at Glide has showed me how to be a woman, how to live, how to be responsible. And I try to do it every day.
What Glide has done
for women and for children and for young people here and for poor people and people who feel very unacceptable. All the people who come here to find something, to find a community, have found acceptance here because Cecil has enacted in every way his theology of unconditional love, his theology of unconditional acceptance. And he requires each of us who are part of this family, this community, to enact that also. So it is very important when we create programs that we make sure that people have decision-making power, that people feel that they have self-determination, that people feel that they have a say in the destiny of their lives. Because in enacting that here, they know that they can go out there and make a contribution anywhere in the world. And that's what we want. That's the message that we want to bring to the children. That's the power that we want the children to experience, because we feel it's so important for kids who have been disenfranchised and marginalized with their homeless families, that they have a place where they can truly, truly grow and where they're truly respected.
What happened to your dreams? And what happened to your visions? And what happened to your imagination? What happened? What happened when we were children? And the things we used to do. And how good we felt about some of those things. And how much trouble we'd get in when we do them. What happened? What happened? What happened to the good times? You know? When we didn't have to worry about everything. Well, what happened is that we grew up. But I'm not sure that we grew up with our visions and our dreams and the spirit that manifests that freedom that we have when we dream dreams and when we see visions.
Ladies and gentlemen, our friends, let us give a warm round of applause for Reverend Cecil Williams, who has created a recovery program in San Francisco at Glide Memorial for crack users and people abused by it, which is considered the most effective program in the nation. I would like to ask you to please welcome Reverend Cecil Williams and Ms.